All right, Lions fans, welcome to Season 8, Episode 22 of the BC Lions Den podcast. I'm your host, Brian Warish, and alongside my co-hosts, Cole McGarvey and Bryce Coots. And we're happy to have you join us or watching live or watching on your favorite podcast app if you're watching us on replay. 4 in a row, and it's off to the nation's capital we go as the BC Lions will pay a visit to the 0-10 Ottawa Redblacks this Sunday. The trap game scenario is real, and we'll hope that Buck Pierce emphasizes that all week in practice. To help us set that up, we'll be joined by BC Lions linebacker Darnell Sankey, who is the general of the BC Lions defense. We'll ask him how this team has turned things around, learn more about him, and of course, welcome your questions as well. As always, we invite you to like, follow, share, and subscribe to all our socials, especially our YouTube page, where we would really appreciate your subscription. At Showtime, we were 4 subs away from 200, so let's hit that tonight, and we'd love for you to join our BC Lions roster. But let's bring in the team now. Cole, Bryce, good to be with you again. Hope things are well. How are we feeling as the Lions head to Ottawa this week?
Yeah, Brian, thanks for having us in as always. Feeling good. A little midweek podcasting, and Bryce, of course, busy as always, but excited to talk a little Lions tonight, and especially excited to have Darnell in to join us. As you said, Brian, rolling in on a 4-game win streak, hoping to make it 5, and the Lions team is, arguably the top of the CFL right now. So I think we do got a lot to talk about, and it should be a fun night.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, guys. Like, to your point, Brian, this is kind of one of those lovely, hey, it's a trap game. Like, everyone's kind of, looking past Ottawa, and that's one of the most dangerous things for a team like Ottawa is having the luxury of not really being counted into games. And the Lions right now are the hottest team in the CFL in a lot of respects, right? They were reeled off, 4 in a row now. They're 5-5. Like, this team's playing some really good football, and I'm just, for me, I don't want to see it stop. I want to see us get to that Montreal back-to-back and then really let everyone know in the CFL what's going on in BC.
Yeah, I think the key right now is we're getting healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll talk about the injury or the day one injury report that came out today. Some nice surprises there that we weren't expecting to see. So I think that's the key. The Lions are getting healthy. They're starting to gel, especially on defense. Nathan Rourke's player of the week. He's not happy with the way he played, and so that's a good sign when your QB1 is player of the week, and he says, "Look, I'm not playing my best football. We can do better on offense." So really looking forward to seeing what we can do as in the coming weeks here. But first things first, we got to take care of Ottawa, and the Lions lost in Ottawa last year. They were the last team that the Ottawa Redblacks beat. So they've got to go in there and make sure they take care of business. I think they will. I think they're playing good football. I think they have some confidence now. But as you say, these trap games are real, and sometimes your mental state kind of takes over your talent a little bit, and we'll talk to Darnell about how they avoid that type of letdown, but I don't think they're going to. We'll see. We got Darnell in studio right now, so let's bring him right in so we can get to our interview with Darnell Sankey. Sorry, here, let me get this all queued up. He first arrived in the CFL in 2021 with the Calgary Stampeders, earning a West Division All-Star nod, and jumped to the Riders in 2022. Had another strong season there before winning an XFL and Grey Cup championship in the same season with Arlington and Montreal in 2023. He was the marquee signing of the offseason for the BC Lions and has been instrumental in getting this defense turned around. It's our pleasure now to welcome Darnell Sankey into the den.
Yo, what's going on?
Darnell, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by tonight. It's great to have you join us. Yeah, I guess you set your alarm clock this time.
Yeah. No, what's crazy is I've been having my computer up since about 6 o'clock, like waiting, and I was like, I need to make sure that I'm here. Like no ifs, ands, or buts. So I'm here. So yeah, I'm excited. I understand we got a lot to talk about. So
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. Listen, let's get into your background a little bit. From what I understand, you grew up in a basketball family. Is that accurate? And you kind of started football a little bit later?
Yeah, yeah. So my dad played basketball at San Jose State out there in California. He's from Chicago. He got recruited out there. My sister played basketball at Cal State East Bay. My brother played basketball at Lipscomb University. So I'm the only football player in the Sankey immediate family. So yeah, I mean, grew up playing basketball. Kind of made the transition to football in high school. I was fouling out of too many games, so they're like, you know what, let's go, let's try football. So ever since I turned to football, it's been never really looked back. I still like basketball, but ever since I started playing football, I started getting pretty seriously recruited. It was, it was it. That was it.
Did you know right away that football was your game? Like, obviously, the physical part of it is something you enjoy.
Yeah, I loved it. I've always wanted to play football, but I was actually scared to play because I didn't want to get hurt for basketball because I was a basketball family. So like, I was always thinking like, oh, football, like I don't want something to happen and then not be able to play basketball season. And then I just made a decision. I was like, man, I'm playing football. Like I really, I seem to like the sport. I'm just gonna try out. So went out for the team and was I guess a pretty decent player.
Being in a basketball family, did your family support that? Or they think you're a little
Yeah,
nuts?
yeah, no,
Or
they all supported it. They all supported it. It wasn't like it was a negative thing. At first my dad was just, he didn't really know football, so he was just kind of like, hey, as long as you got to be ready for basketball season. But I think as he started seeing my love and for the game of football took over, it was just like he was all in football. Like, it was kind of like a thing. Like, he supported me with that. And my mom and my sister didn't have an issue. So,
it seems like you were born to be a linebacker. When you first started playing, what attracted you to that physical side of the position? Have you always been a defensive player, or did you ever play offense? Or
so I guess that's more to the story with how I started. You ever heard of a man named Marcus Reese?
I have not. No.
He used to play linebacker for the Chicago Bears and the San Francisco 49ers. He was an All-American at UCLA. So he was my linebacker coach in high school. So he actually reached out to me my sophomore year and mentioned about playing football, and I said no. So that's 10th grade. I said no. He was on me every single time I saw him around campus. He's like, man, come out for the football team, man. Like, you'll be a great linebacker. And at the time, I was like, yeah, all right, man, like, whatever. And I eventually came out, and he was the linebackers coach. And I mean, as soon as I joined the team, I was instantly the starting linebacker. So, I mean, that's kind of how I've never really played anything else. I mean, I played a little bit of outside linebacker in college. I played both, some stand up. I played a little bit on the line when I had to. We had some injuries. I played a little bit of running back, fullback, tight end in high school. And actually short yardage fullback at Sac State. So I got a couple of touchdowns. But it's pretty much been linebacker, any variation of inside, weak side, strong side linebacker throughout my career. So I've been blessed, man. I'm really humbled, and I'm really grateful, really, truly.
Guys, you got something?
Yeah, Darnell, I believe you're a West Coast guy, but how's it been kind of adjusting to living in BC? You guys have obviously had a unique season with being away from BC Place with the World Cup and all that stuff, but being able to experience a place like Kelowna, obviously training camp in Kamloops and preseason games in Victoria. So how's it been adjusting to BC and being able to see the province?
Yeah, it's everything I thought it was and more. I've always heard great things about BC. I mean, obviously, I've played here multiple years, but when you're here for a game, you don't really get to see too much. Maybe a little bit of downtown, but you're kind of focused for the game. So, I mean, I loved Kelowna. I loved Kamloops. Both of those are beautiful. beautiful areas. I really enjoyed my time there. And just it's been great. I mean, the team seems to respect me. It seems that I found a home. So it's I mean, I'm loving it, really.
Bryce, you got something?
Yeah, I got something here, Darnell. So I got to ask you this. Like, obviously, you play one of the most physical positions in football. You play middle linebacker there. But
Yeah.
outside of that, you're constantly matching wits with quarterbacks and just checks and different things. Who's
Yeah.
the smartest quarterback in your entire career? It can be down in college. Who's the smartest quarterback you've ever played against?
Well, I can answer the smartest quarterback I ever played with, and that's Drew Brees. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, I was on the Saints from 2018 and a little bit of 2019, and he's for sure the smartest quarterback I've ever seen. I mean, just I don't know, man. Like I would like to say a lot of it is like like a natural, but when you see some of the work that these guys do who are like Hall of Famers. Like I've been blessed to play with a couple. I played with Eric Berry. I played with DeMarcus Ware. I've Von Miller. I mean, I can keep going, but it's not about that. The point is just that I've played with some Hall of Fame caliber guys, and it's like their preparation is what makes them great. I mean, I'm going out to walk through, and Drew was on the field by himself, going through every single play, like robotic, boom, boom, just by himself. Like I don't forget stuff like that, and it's things that I've taken to my game now. It's like if I want to be one of the best that's ever played, then I got to learn from one of the best that's ever played, and study what he did. And he's out there, and so it's like, hey, if that's what, and I'm sure he was doing that long after I stopped playing there. So, I would say the answer is Drew Brees for sure. I think a close second is probably, I mean, I guess maybe Joe Flacco. I really didn't spend too much time there, but I mean, he's still in the league. So, I mean, he has to do something right. So, I mean, those two guys are the guys that stand out. I mean, Matthew Stafford as well. I played with him. And, I mean, a lot of those NFL quarterbacks it's ridiculous the amount of time that they have to put in. It's crazy.
Let's talk about your NFL grind a little bit. I mean, you were cut, 13 times in your NFL
Yeah.
jersey.
Yeah.
Most people experience maybe one or two major professional rejections and it can shake their confidence. Like, how did you get told 13 times that you're not wanted and still find the passion to chase a pro football career?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's something that I've seemed to never really have the great answer for. I've been asked that before, but I guess that just kind of goes to my brand. My brand is DAND, delays are not denials. And it just means like just because God is delaying something in your life doesn't mean he's denying it. Like I'm a Christian man, I'm a man of faith. Um, and I feel like he's the pillar of my life. So I've always felt like I was called, like my purpose, like was to help people. But I always felt like I was a football player too. And I feel like my journey throughout the NFL was a journey of finding myself in a way. I think when I was younger, I took it for granted. I think when I first got to the NFL, I took it for granted. I wasn't really in the film room like that. I wasn't really studying extra. I wasn't really preparing. I was just kind of like, I'm in the NFL. Like, I made it. And then you get cut, and that goes away very quick. When you go back home, I went home back to San Jose and Sacramento, California, and you don't got a job and you're training and waiting. It's like, it makes you like, whoa, like this is the real deal, because you may not get another shot. You may not. And a lot of guys don't. And I was blessed and fortunate enough to keep getting opportunities. And I felt like the older I got, like the more I was learning, like, like I would get signed again, and sometimes it's not up to me. Sometimes it's a numbers thing. I get cut because of numbers, but at least I can look in the mirror and be like, that wasn't something I could really control. If a guy gets hurt in a game, a running back, and they have to bring another running back in, then someone's gonna have to go, and it just happened to be me. So, that journey, man, 13 times on 8 different teams. It was a grind, but hey, it made me the player that I am today. I'm really grateful to just keep playing, man. I had a great time in the NFL. I mean, throughout 4 years, and I have nothing negative. I'm content with how things were.
You finally got into a regular NFL season game with the Indianapolis Colts. Do you remember that first NFL snap?
Man, yeah.
What was going through your head?
Whew. Yeah, I remember that, man. Just finally getting on the active roster. I remember when I first got bumped up the active roster, and it was like surreal. It's because, and I think that's something that I always try to preach to the guys. Is that like, don't take none of this for granted, man. Like, we play professional football. Like, I know a lot of guys back home who would give up a leg to just play one snap. I've trained with, I've trained, I've even in college, I know a lot of guys who were waiting still for an opportunity just to play. And it's like, I just remember when I was in the NFL, I felt like a lot of guys took it for granted, because I took it for granted at first when I was young. So it's like, I remember when I got activated, I was so in awe, just like, man, like I'm never gonna take this for, like I'm gonna take my opportunity. And yeah, I was on and off active throughout the year. Ended up pulling my hamstring trying to tackle Antonio Brown, I think, and then got released shortly after, and the journey continued. But I'll never forget that, man. It's that's why I tell guys, like I said, now never take this for granted. I still don't take it for granted. Now I'm in year 10, and I'll never take the opportunity to go out there and play for. So yeah.
So 2021, you landed in the Canadian Football League with the Calgary Stampeders. You were a West Division All-Star in your first season.
Yeah.
What kind of learning curve did you experience coming from the NFL to the CFL?
I wouldn't necessarily say a learning curve, but when I got to Calgary, that was the first time I ever started at linebacker since high school. I mean, since college, since Sac State. I was all-American at Sac State. I started but I'm talking about like really played games, like because in the NFL I was a rotational guy. I was a special teams guy, practice squad guy. So it's like I never really got the opportunity to like start and play a whole game. So I remember when I first got to the CFL, like adjusting to just playing again was a lot for me. Like playing 50, 60 snaps, especially the field's bigger. Mm-hmm. It's 12 on 12. The amount of running you got to do is. So I remember it wasn't necessarily a learning curve, but just like getting used to like playing, if that makes sense. Like I'm playing every single snap, like just like I did back in college. And like, I was like, this is what it's about, man. I've been missing this feeling of just playing football, because you're on P squad and you can only do so much. You can't really hit, you can't really show yourself that much. So it's like just coming out here and playing was enough. If that makes sense. I felt like I was a pretty smart player already. So understanding concept and schemes isn't the biggest thing for me. It wasn't. It was more so like I'm playing again, like I'm playing. So that was, I guess, if you want to say a curve, that would be it.
Off the back of that, you went to Saskatchewan 2023 or 2022.
Yeah.
2023, you had a pretty unique season. You played in the XFL, then you came back to the CFL. You won championships in both leagues. Not too many
Yeah.
players can say they've won 2 championships in one season. What was that experience like going in both leagues?
If I'm not mistaken, I don't think anybody else could say that. Am I wrong?
I
Am I
can't think of
wrong,
anybody.
or is there someone else since that
Yeah,
happened?
I
Or
don't
I don't
know.
know, but yeah, I would just say that a lot of that's due to the training I do. Just God willing, it's a lot of it. I feel like I take my off season very seriously. I feel like I really make sure that I prioritize conditioning and taking care of my body. So for me to go back-to-back seasons, it wasn't really all that hard, honestly. And I'm not trying to sound like some superhero, but yeah, going from the XFL, won the championship with them, the Arlington Renegades, and Montreal signed me shortly after that. Came midway through and played the rest of the season and the whole playoffs and won a Grey Cup. Then it was like expected, I don't play to lose, so that's the expectation for me anywhere I go. I'm here to win football games, so it wasn't like something surreal to me. It's, of course, I'm blessed and I'm fortunate, and I understand that not everybody even gets to play in a Grey Cup. But as a player, I expect to be in the Grey Cup. I expect to win. So it's like, that's what was supposed to happen for me. I was supposed to do that, and hey, I'm here now.
Cole, I think you had something there.
Yeah, Darnell, you talked about learning how to become a pro, and I'm sure you're still tweaking your weekly preparations even now as a veteran. But if you don't mind, maybe just taking us behind the scenes a little bit about kind of what your weekly preparations look like. We talked with Nathan worked throughout the offseason. He talked about his little binder or folder he has of opposing offensive coordinators and how he studies that throughout the season. But obviously you, middle linebacker, kind of the saying that goes around is quarterback of the defense. What does just your weekly study habits and preparation look like, and how you're able to kind of help your teammates throughout the week as well?
Yeah, I guess I pride myself in a lot of film study, obviously, first and foremost. I watch a lot of film, watch a lot of tape. But I watch a lot of us, and I feel like that's something that is kind of a lost art. And I feel like I learned that when I was in the NFL. You want to watch tape, you want to watch your opponent, but you also want to watch yourself, especially as the starting middle linebacker for any team. You need to make sure that you have an idea of what every single position is doing on your defense. So if I'm able to help another guy out, I'm like, hey, this is what I see. Let's watch it together. Boom, 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 boom. And he's like, oh, yeah, Sankey, yeah, you're right. Then it's like, that's worth it to me. That's worth the extra film and the extra preparation. Usually beginning of the week, I'm always kind of getting acclimated to the opponent, and I'm never overlooking an opponent. It's always about the next one, like the next game. So now it's Ottawa. So this is what I'm focused on. I'm not focused on anything else. All my preparation is for Ottawa at this point. And obviously I'm watching myself and, stuff like that. But, I would say that I guess I pride myself in film study. I pride myself in making sure that I can play my style of football for 4 quarters, 5 quarters, 6 quarters. It doesn't matter. I want to be able to never be tired on a football field. So I'm taking care of my body all week. And I won't get into too much specifics because I know how some people are, and I know they're going to be, watching this, and they're going to try to copy my stuff. So, if you know me, you can hit me up and I'll tell you, but I don't want no one out there who's an opponent looking at what I'm doing.
So, Darnell, I got to ask you this. Lately, you guys look as a unit, at least defensively, that you're playing so much faster than earlier on in this year. What's led to that? Is it just overall, the scheme familiarity's gotten better with everyone kind of settling in, the communication, or is it just adjustments are more on point for you guys because you guys are absolutely balling out right now? Turnovers are coming in bunches. What's kind of been the key to that?
Yeah, man, what's the key? It's really hard to like pinpoint it because in my eyes, it's like we've always been one of the best defenses. Like, without sounding delusional, it's like I've always felt like we have the ability to be the best defense. Um, and it's like now that it's kind of happening and we're getting kind of the recognition that I feel like we deserve, like it's expected, like this is what's like, did you expect us to not like be the top dogs, that's just my mentality, and of course we're humble, but it's like at the same time, it's like I know who we have on the defense. I know our safeties can, I know our DBs can cover. I know our D line can rush. I know what kind of player I am. I know what kind of leader I am. I know what kind of tackler I am. Playmaker. It's like, and I feel like maybe just like the belief aspect now, like you start winning a couple games and you start seeing that the scheme works and you start trusting your leaders, and it's like, man, like maybe we really got something here, and it's I think belief goes a long way. Like belief, like really truly believing. And I think, yeah, we had a little rough start. We had some guys hurt. We had some new pieces getting rotated in and out, but no excuses. I'm never gonna make an excuse, man, especially for injuries. I'm never gonna sit here and try to point the finger. I'll point the finger at myself. I had to take time to get everything going. So if I'm the leader of the defense, then that's my job. So I mean, we're getting it going now. So that's all that matters, and we need to keep going.
So one other thing I want to ask you here, Darnell, is like to your point, you've kind of been in a bunch of different organizations. You've been throughout the NFL. You've won a championship in the XFL. You've won a Grey Cup as well. And now you come to BC with a younger head coach in Buck Pierce, and
Right.
you come in as a guy that they kind of want to have help build this culture they're trying to do here. What has Buck shown you as a head coach that is either like similar to some of the head coaches you've been around, or different in a good way?
Man, Buck reminds me. I don't even want to say reminds me because I don't want to like compare him to no other coach I've had. I just think Buck is the type of coach that really wants to let the players play. He really doesn't want to be hands on. I think obviously he has his job he has to do. He's a head coach. He has to facilitate the team, but he puts a lot of the trust on the leaders to run the shit. Yeah, he's in charge, but he's like, hey, I know I'm in charge, but you guys are guys who really got to do it. So I feel like the kind of coach he is, it's like really hands off. He wants to let his coaches coach. He wants his, us on the defense. He doesn't really bother us. He trusts, Benavidez to do his thing. And it's like, I feel like that goes a long way when your head coach doesn't really want to be like all in your chops all the time. Like, not in a bad way, but just like, he's like, hey, like, I'm the head coach, but this is your team. So it's like he listens to a lot of what we got to say. I came to him multiple times about certain things, and he's always listened to me. He's never really had an issue with anything that I've suggested or that I've said. Hey, maybe I think this would be better. And he's like, done. He's like, yeah, because he's like, I can't see. I'm a coach, so he's like, what do we need to do? You tell me. Like, like what do you need as a player? This is how I see it. I'm the head coach. This is how I see it. Okay, but how do you see it? You're in the locker room. You're on the field. So we've had some nice conversations, and Rig Maiden. We've had some really nice conversations, and I think they both want to let the players play and want to let the leaders lead. And I think that goes a long way.
Darnell, I got to ask you about one of your running mates, and that being Parker McKenna. It seems like he just jumps off the TV screen on a weekly basis. I'm curious what you've seen from him. Obviously, the smile comes to your face right away. And being a first-year CFL player, what do you just see for his future, and what have you seen from the short sample size you've seen from him this season?
Man, yeah, we call him Spidey. That's his nickname, Spidey. So, Spider-Man. But he's man, he's gonna be a hell of a player, man. That dude has a motor. He has a motor. He loves to hit. He loves contact. He invites contact. But one thing that I've started to learn about him is that he really wants to be coached. He really wants to be coached, and he wants to be taught certain things, and I feel like we talk every day. I mean, but it's like, he's in my ear a lot. He asks me a lot of questions. He listens, man. It's nothing like talking to a young guy who will listen to you, not just like listen, like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like, no, like really like sit down, if I tell him, hey, like, I need you to come in, and watch some extra film with me. And he'd be like, all right, well, what time? Like stuff like that. Like, or we'll be talking about his body, like how your body feeling. He'd be like, I'll be like, okay, well, that, you need to do this and this. And he's like, okay, yeah, like, let me try that. Or like he'll ask me about my routine. I'll tell him my routine. Like he's like, okay, like let me try that out. He's like a sponge, man. And I think players like that have long careers, great careers. And everything I just said is not even football related. That's all just being a pro. Because I think that's the hardest part for young guys is learning how to be a pro. Once you learn how to be a pro, the football part comes easy. Because you're not in trouble. You're taking care of your body. You're taking care of your mind, your mental state. So it's like now you just go out on the field and you're just playing, man. You're playing relaxed. You understand the defense. You put the time in. You put the work in. And I feel like he's on his way. He's young. He has a lot of growing to do. He definitely has a lot of growing to do. But, and that'll happen. I mean, he's his first year, in pro ball. So it's like, to see where he's at right now, and just to watch him and just be with him as he's growing and becoming probably one of the better, weak side linebackers in the league. I mean, I think he has a real bright future. Truly, I do. He's a good kid, man.
And piggybacking off that a little bit more, I think that's one of the main reasons the Lions kind of sought you out in the offseason because of your leadership, your mentorship. A little bit, guys like Parker, but Jackson in the secondary,
Yep.
Thomas Oliver,
Yep.
Hayden Harris, I think, is a guy that's been quietly going about his business. What has it been like to kind of monitor or mentor some of those guys and what they've kind of, been like to work with?
Yeah, man. Every guy's different. Every guy's different. I think that's something that as a veteran player who has a little bit of if you want to say a name in the league, I guess, sure. But something that I've begun to learn is that every guy is different. I can't sit here and tell Peter, we call him Parker McKenna, but his nickname is Peter Parker, Spider-Man. If y'all ever call, his nickname is Spidey. So that's his nickname. But so I can tell Spidey one thing, but I can't talk to Finn the same way, to Jackson. I can't talk to him the same way. I got to talk to him differently. And I got to talk to Hayden differently. And I got to talk to Stan differently. And I think that's something you learn as a veteran, like what each guy responds to. And it's not bad. It's just this is how they respond. This is what works for them. And I think if you try to talk to everybody the same way, I think your message will go unheard sometimes. Your message, because you may mean well, but it's like if they don't receive it the same way as this guy receives it, then it's not really working. Like, sure, of course, there's general things that, universal things that they need to understand and learn, and they're sponges and they understand that. But on a personal level, it's like, sometimes you have to kind of filter some things, if that makes sense. So,
Darnell, I got a quick question for you about just the linebacker position. So I coach as well, and I played quarterback in college, but I got to ask you this, like in the CFL today, you played American and you played Canadian. What's more difficult as a linebacker right now in the CFL? Is it like fitting the run correctly, or is it
Right
really
now?
getting to, yeah, like right now when you're playing in the league with the way offenses are attacking defense, is it harder fitting the runs correctly, or is it dealing with all the space and the way offenses are attacking it with the RPO game for you guys as backers?
That's a good. You guys have some good questions, man. The hardest thing for us as a linebacker in this league, man, I would just say the fact that, man, the hardest thing that we have to face as linebackers. Let me just think of something that I would think is hard. I mean, I guess not really RPO, not really RSO, run screen, not really the run game. I think it's more so pass game, in my opinion. I don't think it's the run. I think the run is pretty universal. I think run, gap scheme runs or man scheme runs. Like it's only so many different type of runs you can do. At the end of the day, it's if you coming downhill and you got a physical D line and you're fitting as linebackers and you got some safeties coming in, you're gonna stop the run. But with the pass game, especially in the CFL, the field is way bigger than a lot of people really think it is. There's a lot of space, and the hardest position on the field. I'm gonna other than the middle linebacker is that freaking corner, because you are on an island out there. It's you and a receiver who runs a 4.5, and the receiver has a freaking running head start at you. So it's that aspect of the game, I think, for defense is hard. And it's like, as a linebacker, I mean, the waggle for me, I'm not really covering him man to man like he is. So it's like, that's not the biggest issue for me. But I feel like for defensive football, it's how to cover the most space. I think that's a universal thing that a lot of defensive coaches try to solve that problem. If that answers your question, I mean.
Darnell, I want to talk to you about a little bit about not your head coach, your defensive coordinator, Mike Benavides. Took a lot of heat in the first few weeks of the season. Now that you guys have turned it around, I mean, you got a very experienced defensive coaching staff with RP and Mark Washington and Benny. Talk a little bit about those early issues that you guys had this season and how Benny kept the team focused and turned around.
Yeah, man. Benavides, man, I'll never forget when he first called me when I was, when they were showing interest. I'll put it like that. When myself and Montreal decided to part ways, he was one of the first coaches I talked to. And just as like a man, he's a really good man, family man, a man of faith and loves football. And it's like, that's something that we got in common right there. So I think me and him clicked. RP the same way, and Mark Washington. So it's like the whole defensive side of the football staff all have played a lot of football, and they all have families. And they all have faith. And it's like, I think those three, faith, family, football, that goes a long way. That's something I always preach to myself. I always make sure I stay firm on. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, of course, no one's ignorant to the type of heat that Coach Benavides faced earlier this season. That we're not gonna pretend like that didn't happen. We're not gonna pretend like, we don't see the stuff online and the blogs and the social media and all those supposed D coordinators on Twitter, and Instagram, all the people who think that they know everything. But I don't know, man. I always like to say, if you know who you are, you know what to do. So if you know who you are, you know what to do. And I think he understands and he knows what type of coach he is. And the beginning of the season didn't go the way we wanted, but we stuck together, and he stuck us together, and he never allowed that to show on his face. And maybe he did know about some of that stuff. Maybe he did know about some of what was being said. I'm sure he did. I mean, I'm sure he knows. I'm sure the coaches understand. But to be able to come in the next day and smile and talk about being grateful and put your shoes on in the morning and lace them up and hit the practice, with all that being said, that goes to me more so just being a man.
Do you
Just
want
being a man.
Do you want to get to some fan questions before we let you go? And Mark here has one that says, you don't want to look past Ottawa, but how much is Darnell looking forward to returning to Montreal for the upcoming home and home series?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll answer that quickly. Obviously, it's something that I see on the schedule. And yeah, my lady's from Montreal, so she's there right now. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Obviously, I want a Grey Cup with that organization. Nothing but respect with them. But like you said, this week is Ottawa, so we'll talk about Montreal when Montreal happens. But I don't really want to let my mind think about Montreal. We gotta face the Red Blacks, man.
Yeah.
So.
Sheila Scar wants to know, what's a fun fact about you that most fans would be surprised to learn?
A fun fact about me that most fans would be surprised to learn. Probably that I'm extremely OCD.
Okay.
I'm like if you've seen my locker at the facility,
Everything's in just the right spot, or?
yeah, I'm like weird about that, man. Ask our equipment staff. They know exactly how I like my jersey hung in my locker. They know when they put them cleats in, don't just throw it in there. So I'm pretty OCD, man. And I think that just comes with just kind of being a pro. I like some sort of order in my life, I guess. Structure, and I mean my house, man. If I turn this thing around, you guys would be like, yeah. So let's not do that. But yeah, I'm pretty neat freak guy. So it's me.
Our friend Bob Medill wants to know, do you aspire to coach in the future?
No, but everyone who knows me apparently thinks I will. So
Okay.
I have no aspirations to coach, but every single time I say that, they're like, okay. So I don't know anymore.
We've got a question here from Deacon St. John. What's the best city you've played in?
Well, the best is defined by a lot of different things. The most beautiful city that I've had the chance to play in. I mean, I played in, Chicago's beautiful, New York. I played everywhere. I've literally played, and I'm kind of as I get older, I think I'm more of a small town guy now. So I really liked the Indianapolis. I really liked living there in Indy. I liked living in Metairie, Louisiana. I don't know. I just feel like as I'm older now, the only really things that really matter are my faith, my family, and football. And some close friends that I have. And it's as long as I got a roof over my head and I got a car, it's man, I play professional football for a living. So I don't know. I mean, I know that's a lot more than the best city you played in, but sorry.
Well, that's okay. I do want to give you a chance to talk about your DAND Academy in San Jose. What does that mean to you to mentor young youth and give you a chance to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so DAND it means delays are not denials. It's something actually my dad used to always. I think the first time he ever told me that was when I tore my ankle. I tore my ankle getting ready for the NFLPA game. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that. It's an all-star game in the States. So I was invited to that, especially a small school guy, Sacramento State. At the time, we were smaller. They're way bigger now. But it was a big deal for me to get invited to this game, and I blew my ankle out in practice. And I remember he used to always just tell me, like DAND, like delays are not denials, like just do what you got to do, get healthy. But like the dream is still there. You get, I was supposed to, I mean, you could say whatever, but they had me going 3rd to 5th round. So it's like, to see that and then you blow your ankle out, it's like, it's hard to be like, man, like, you kind of start having some doubts. Watching the draft, didn't get drafted, didn't get a call right away after, waited, and it's like that journey, I think, is what started the DAND, the delays are not denials. And it's like I've always kind of held on to that throughout my whole career. Like every single time I got cut, like delays are not denials. Like just because it's been delayed doesn't mean it's being denied. It's just a delay. And then I get signed again. And then I get signed again. And then I get cut again. So it's like that's been my journey. That's been my testimony. So it's like, when I go through hard things in life and, I mean, getting cut, getting signed, it's like, all right, well, back to the lab. And I think I've taken that mindset into my career, my life, and I've always wanted to train guys. And I think when I was thinking about, like kind of how I wanted to go about it, I wanted to be more than just, hey, let's just go run ladders. I wanted it to be something that people can relate to. So I think that's why I used that brand, like my brand that I had as like propeller for that, and it's like, and I called it the Academy because I wanted people to learn, like I wanted to start guys from the beginning. So like a lot of the guys that I take on are like longtime clients, like guys I've been training for like 3-4 years. And I've watched them grow and learn. It's like now they're getting offers from schools. It's like that's what it's about. It's about the journey. Like of course I asked some college guys who want to come get some work, and that's cool. That's no issue, but it's really about the journey for me and teaching guys how to be the best you can be, and sometimes, I'll never forget one of the guys his story always stands out to me. His name's Jeffrey, like Xu or something. He's a Asian guy, Chinese guy. So I don't know how to say his last name. It's like Xu or something. But he used to come with me when he was I think he was probably like 13 or 14. His dad used to come, and he used to come to my 5 a.m. sessions. And his dad used to sleep in the car. He used to sleep in the car while I was training him for an hour and a half in the morning. And I remember when he got to high school, later in his high school career, he was like, hey, coach, like, I just want to play football at the next level. I don't even care about going D1. I just want to play football. And it's like he eventually went to play at Tufts. I don't know if anyone's heard of that. It's called Tufts University. It's in Massachusetts. Very small D3 football school. He's like a freaking brainiac, but he was like, that was his dream, just to play college football. So it's like stuff like that is what it's about. Not everybody wants to go to the NFL. Not everybody wants to go to the CFL, but everybody wants to do something. So it's like, whatever your DAND is, let's do it, and I think I just happen to, do it with the football side. But I've also started venturing into like other sports like soccer. I'm not saying I'm a soccer pro, but I can try to help you. So I think that's what it's about, man. DAND, man.
All right. Well, Darnell, this has been awesome. We've really enjoyed chatting with you. We wish you health and success rest of the season and all the best off the field as well. Thanks for your time tonight. We really appreciate it.
Hey, are you guys still recording? I'm still gonna watch. So I don't know.
Okay.
If you guys
Yeah.
still talking.
Well, we'll have to say good things about you.
All right, good. Well, I'll be in and out. I gotta do some things, but I'll
We
have
had-
it on.
We had Julio Caravetta on, and Bryce asked Julio a question about you, and he said, "Well, you're gonna have to go to practice and ask him yourself because he scares the crap out of me."
Oh, did he really?
But you're not scary at all. You're a nice guy.
Man, outside of, I can understand if people see me at practice. I'm in a different element, Like
Yeah.
when I'm at work, I'm at work. I'm
Yeah.
there to do what I got to do, man. So I can see if maybe they're a little intimidated sometimes by if they look at me and I just kind of like and just look back, they'd be like, "Oh, well, he's kind of." I mean, hey, that's what it's about. Well, you want your middle linebacker to be some nice guy?
No, not at all.
All right, you guys.
All right,
Appreciate
thanks.
it, man.
Thanks, Darnell.
Appreciate you.
Thanks,
Hey,
Darnell.
Thank you guys, bro.
All right, that was awesome. Darnell Sankey coming into the den, joining us. Stuck around for almost an hour, so that's good stuff. And sorry we couldn't get all your questions in. Some of them were questions that we had already asked and he had already answered, so I didn't want to ask him the same question twice. But hope everybody enjoyed that. Guys, your thoughts? Very open to talking to us, and it was good stuff.
Go ahead, Cole.
Yeah, that was really awesome, Bryce. You stumped him as well. That was a nice one, man. It was a good one. I also respect that he really you could tell that he took some time before he wanted to answer, right? He was very thoughtful in his answers, very insightful in his answers as well. So like we're getting in the chat here with our reaction, it was a great interview, definitely worth the wait. But yeah, really awesome. Bryce, I know you're excited for this one as well.
Yeah, I am. And I remember back to the point Brian made with the Julio comment I made where I said, Darnell reminds me of Barron Simpson in a lot of ways, right? Just how he is on the football field. And, like you were saying, the mentality he has when he steps on. Like, I'll be honest, if I was playing quarterback, I would not want to have to look across the line of scrimmage and see Darnell Sankey standing there and just know that his whole objective right now is to make my life horrible. And, just listening to him talk, but the one thing I really appreciate about Darnell there was like, it's not just for him, it's the journey to get there. It's not okay. Like you said, like one of the things he struggled with early on in his NFL career was, hey, like I'm in the NFL, like that's it. I've made it, and how he learned from that and progressed. And I think that's what, honestly, like when you think about what the Lions said about like why they wanted to bring him here was part of his leadership. What better guy to have lead the young players on this defense that you're bringing in? And in general, like even for a guy like Nathan too, who's, a young player still in his development in his career, to have a guy like Darnell that's been around so much and seen so much to kind of lend that experience to everybody.
Yeah, and I think I liked his answer about how you asked him about leadership and how he answered, well, you can't talk to every guy the same way. You kind of have to get to know those players, and that's the sign of a good teammate, when you're getting to know these players' personalities, and what works with some players might not work for another player. So he's been around, he's got the experience to be that in that leadership role, and I think the Lions are pretty lucky to have him in that locker room. Okay, let's move on and get into the game preview now. We'll throw up our stack up. We'll get rid of the widget here.
Holy smokes, all orange this week, eh?
All orange. Are you surprised?
Wow.
Except for sacks allowed. Ottawa's only allowed 17. We've allowed 24. But
That's due to lack of possessions.
very, very good point. Very good point. But yeah, as you could see, I mean, the Lions should and could and should win this game. Trap games, guys. I mean, have you ever been in a trap game? How do you get yourself prepared to go and face a team that's 0-10 and keep your focus and make sure you get your job done?
It's kind of interesting because I've had it in both aspects, right? As a player, and I've had it now as a coach. I think the biggest thing when you're in these type of games is, as a coach, trying to keep the level of standard of your team, of treating every opponent that they play as the same, right? Not every game's too high because you're playing the best team. And then when you're playing the worst team, you don't drop your standard. Because what I find for a lot of teams and players is, well, they think they've already won the game because they've won, the record. We've won games and they haven't. Well, again, and at the professional level, even, everybody is paid to play. Everybody is a good player. Just right now for Ottawa, it could be the scheme. It could be a whole bunch of factors that just aren't gelling for them. But the thing in this aspect, when I look at it, trying to handle this is when you play these games, for me, it's always the first quarter. The first quarter, that team is going to come out and they're going to throw everything at you to try and get any sort of momentum they can spiral. And in the same turn, spiral you into a downwards trajectory. And that's where I look at it and I go, here, if BC defensively, offensively can survive that first quarter, take the blows that, Ottawa's going to throw, BC, I think, just as a team right now is more connected. And I think that will actually end up helping them through the second and third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, I think the term trap game is different at many levels, with the, amateur level and into U Sports, etc. As Bryce said, like at the professional level, those guys are paid to play as well. So as much as you look at, 0-10 Ottawa and we're going to have our jokes and ha ha ha, those guys are pissed off and do not want to see it go to 0-11, right? They're as competitive as anybody when it comes to professional athletes. So especially with it kind of being a game that the last time these guys won was against BC a year ago, it just feels like a little bit of kind of like that weird bad juju of like, let's just make sure we take care of business. Let's not have any funny business here of kind of the last 6 weeks of the season almost being forgotten if we were to fall and stumble like this, where, you have an opportunity to get back over 500 before the Montreal home and home. It's one of those ones where like, we got to take care of business. And I'm sure glad that as fans, we're not inside that locker room as, we're panicking and kind of like, there's no help coming in a few weeks where it's like inside that locker room. They're kind of, as we said with Darnell, right? He's focused on Ottawa before he's even looking at Montreal. So I would imagine these guys will be ready and make sure that they're ready to go. No lulls in this one.
I think when you look at this chart, what kind of jumps at me is the rushing difference. And I think this is a great game for the Lions to start the game by rushing the football. For a couple of reasons. They're not great at stopping the rush. They're allowing over 123 yards a game. But I think passing wise is where they've really struggled on defense. If we could set up the run game, that'll open up a whole bunch of stuff on the passing game, RPOs and stuff over the middle that they seem to be susceptible to at this point so far in the season. Now, we're not Buck Pierce. We're not going to turn this into the Horvath show again, but I think this is a great week to start the game by pounding the rock.
I was going to say it took us almost an hour to finally mention Horvath. That's not been the case on previous episodes. But, Brian, what's been the difference? It's been perfect to run the football in the first quarter of the last month of the season. I'm not too sure why we haven't done that. So, hopefully, as you said, this does feel like a perfect opportunity. As you said, the Red Blacks defense is definitely weaker against the run. And that will allow you to set up the pass later in the football game. Doesn't put all the pressure and kind of urgency off the jump on Nathan in the pass game to be crisp. So I think getting Horvath involved, and obviously he only had, I think, 10 carries last week, should be fresh, should be ready to go, should be ready for a full workload. And for me personally, I know we've talked about it ad nauseum, but I don't want to see James Butler mixed in at all anymore. Let's really kind of lean into Horvath as our guy and see what happens with him as a full-time starter.
Yeah.
It's interesting for me, guys, because I look at, I think the run game is a huge factor in this game because, to the point of it is one of the most demoralizing things as a defense and as a team that's 0-10 when you can't stop the run. Because it is like you listen to how Darnell explained it when I asked him about what's more difficult to deal with. And he said, the run game's easy. You get to go downhill. You make sure you're in your gaps. And it's something you can do if everyone's collectively doing it. But when you're not, you see the results of what Ottawa's got, where you're giving up 123 yards plus per game. And for the Lions, like, you're rushing now for 112. And I think it is a give the Xander Horvath the ball and let the Z train, as I've heard Moj call him, just go to work and let him go and establish the identity of we are going to be a physical team. We're going to come out and punch you in the mouth. And I get the whole don't let James Butler get involved kind of a thing to a point and really commit to Xander. But if Xander's doing his thing that way and he's your early down back and he's able to create those 4-yard to 5-yard runs all the time, having James Butler as your scat back and getting him out in the flat is something. James Butler is still one of the better backs in the CFL. Like we saw it a couple times in the past game for the checkdowns for Nathan. he can still scoot and get himself, 10, 15 yards on a check down or in some sort of capacity that way. I think that's how you have to mix them. That's how you're going to get the most out of both, but it's committing to that philosophy that I think is the biggest thing. And then on the flip side, guys, like I want to see our defense just go to work, like just go to work on this group, because that Ottawa offensive line isn't great. They've only allowed 17, but like I said earlier, I think that's due to a lack of possessions and having the opportunity to put your quarterback in those situations. But I just think, like, outside of Eberhardt, like, who realistically are we afraid of in that receiving core? That's someone that we're going, like, maybe Hardy, but like, is he really a guy that I'm super worried about? Not really. Like, and you got to still be able to get these guys the ball. And realistically, Ottawa can't run the ball to save their life.
Yeah, look, the other thing about running the ball is, particularly in a game like this, where you're coming in and trying to demoralize a team that's already struggling mentally. If you take the ball and run it down their throat on the first drive, and they're gasping for air after the first drive, you're sending a message that you guys are in for another tough night. And if you start running the football, and like we said, it just opens up so much for them. Anyway, I hope that's what they do. I know we got a comment here that somebody's telling us to wake up.
Yeah. I think that guy needs to wake up. No offense.
Have to establish pass first, you guys, even against Ottawa. Wake up already. How quickly have the Lions started games by not running the football? I'll ask you that, Jay. This team starts games slow, and they need to establish the run early. They have a tremendous weapon that they're not using early in games, and for whatever reason, they're saving him till later in the games. It's working for them right now, but when you come to playoff football in the prairies and the weather gets colder, you're going to want to be able to run the football to start football games and set other stuff up. On the other side of the ball, like you said, Eberhardt is our featured player here on the graphic. Man, that's one guy I wish we could have kept. He's having a fantastic season for the Red Blacks. We don't really know who's going to be starting at quarterback in this game. Ryan Dinwiddie was not committing to Jake Maier following their last game. Maybe we'll see McLeod Bethel-Thompson get a shot. Either way, though, I agree with Bryce. They got to bring the heat, bring the pressure. Ottawa has next to no running game. They paid Greg Bell all this money and they don't use him, or they haven't been able to run the ball, one of the two. But averaging 55 yards rushing a game, 10 games into a season, that's rough, boys.
Especially, like, Bryce, as a play caller, like, that feeling of being one-dimensional, and you have Jake Maier as your quarterback, and you're like, God damn, like, I can't call a run here, I can't call a pass here, like, you're just almost like, can we punt on first down? Like, as a play caller, I'm sure that's just extremely frustrating. They do have some nice pieces, though, as you said, like a Greg Hardy, who used to be a player, obviously probably on the wrong side of 30. Aiden Eberhard, who's kind of slotted into their receiver one. They obviously lost Geno Lewis due to just kind of, I feel like, wanting to see if he would land somewhere for a playoff run. Keelan White, I'm sure Bryce here, obviously familiar with him. I'm not too sure if he coached him at all throughout his time in BC, but I think a nice young national receiver that can provide you a legitimate starting receiver snaps, but just they haven't had the operator do it in Jake Maier as the quarterback. Their offensive line has definitely not been up to snuff, and it's just like the problems kind of compound on each other. So to Bryce's point, like, jump on this unit. They don't have a lot of confidence at all. I think with Dinwiddie not really tipping his cap either way, it kind of leads me to maybe that we're going to see MBT likely on Sunday, just because he doesn't want to give a either way. And obviously, if he said Jake Maier, you're tipping your cap there. So either way, this defense hopefully is able to build on their confidence they've had in the last 6-7 weeks of the season.
The other thing too, guys, so when you're in this situation like Ottawa is, the problem with not having a quarterback in either aspect here, Jake Maier or McLeod Bethel-Thompson, that can't really be a threat, that kills your running game too, right? Like, at least with Saskatchewan and like a Trevor Harris, Trevor is such a good passer of the football and understanding what he's seeing and getting the ball out of his hands. But as we saw without AJ Ouellette in their last game against us, they struggled because they couldn't really establish a run game. So now Trevor gets put in a situation where he's got to do everything to try and move that offense and pass all the time, well, now you can go and get home and create more havoc. And this is the same thing Ottawa is going through with a less talented roster. And now you're seeing the repercussions of that.
I mean, Jake Maier has had spurts. I mean, he threw for 300 yards in 4 straight games. But now the problem with Jake Maier and the Ottawa offense is the fact that when they get into the red zone, they just shit the bed. Like they cannot get in the end zone, and then the turnovers. I mean, they
running the football.
Yeah, they don't run the football, and they get down into the red zone, and they just have nothing to offer. You don't want this to be the week where they kind of figure that out. They're averaging 335 yards of offense per game, which is not bad. They just don't know how to finish, and a lack of a run game is really killing them as well.
Yeah, definitely. This is one that we can't look back come the end of the season and say that we lost to Ottawa in week 13. Those are the games that have haunted us over the last few years. So
here's the question: What's the weather in Ottawa on Sunday?
Yeah, no kidding.
Every time we play there, it seems to be a monsoon.
Pouring rain. It's a monsoon.
I don't know if anybody's checked. That would be a good thing.
I will look it up right now.
Yeah. Leads even more to running the ball if it is ugly over there.
Let's get our 3 keys to the game. See what I mean about StreamYard being a bitch? Like, I added you guys to this chart.
Do you guys want me to tell you the honest truth right now about the weather in Ottawa?
Oh my God, is it pouring again?
It's gonna rain.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, we can run the football. I think that's
It's
a good.
gonna
even more reason to run the football, right?
Yeah, it's gonna rain and it's gonna have 14 kilometer winds.
Oh
yeah.
Wow.
Run the football, boys. Run it all day long.
Yeah. Okay. Our 3 keys to the game, of course, don't get trapped. We all know about trap games, but any given Sunday, anything can happen. Lions have struggled in Ottawa, and it's probably cost them first place last year, if we're being pretty honest about it. A loss here would undo all the good they have done. You simply cannot lose this football game after winning 4 straight and getting yourself back in the race. Upset Maier MBT. This goes to Bryce's point about getting some pressure on this offense. We don't know who will be starting this week, but whoever it is, do not let them get comfy. BC is starting to generate turnovers. Keep that up. And special teams, of course, that's probably the weakest link on the Lions right now. Khalil Pimbleton is a threat back there. Will we see newly signed Lawrence Woods III? Don't know if he's got enough time to get in there. I guess, special teams. What are your guys' thoughts on a guy coming in midweek and kind of starting on Sunday?
I think of all positions, Bryce, kick returner is the easiest transition, right? It's catch the football, make sure that you don't fumble it, and just let the God-given ability, let your instincts take over from there. So I would definitely be on board for seeing him. I'm not too sure how it's going to work out roster-wise. I believe is he a DB by position?
Yeah,
I believe,
he's a
right?
DB by position.
So obviously he's gonna need a roster spot. So they usually only end up dressing 5 guys in the secondary and with the 3 safeties. So he'll have to take either a receiver spot, a secondary spot, but he'll definitely need a roster spot. So that'll be interesting to monitor on Saturday when rosters come out. But I would love to see it. I think we just need to find some sort of return game here.
Sorry, go ahead, Bryce.
Well, I was just going to say, this is to me, if Woods can come in here and just give us some way to flip the field on occasion, right? I think the biggest thing for us is there's been so many times we can't flip the field, and a field flipping thing would be huge, right? To get that big return after a good defensive stop, and we just can't seem to get it.
And let's be honest, boys, the bar is incredibly low. Honestly, all you have to do is come
20
in,
yards.
Come in, catch the football, get a decent return. We're not even asking for home runs here. We're not asking for, an outstanding game. We're asking for just better than what it's been. And it's basically been catch the football and get tackled or get a few yards. So they can get about 15, 20. That's perfect for me. And I think that just sets up the offense even better.
A couple comments here. I thought Berryhill was fine as a returner. Hits the hole hard, but he can't hang on to the football. Yeah. And, you can't have that. They're damn lucky that was no yards last week. Or else...
it totally changes the game.
Oh, 100%. And you got to hold on the football. He had 2 fumbles in 2 games. That audition is over as far as I'm concerned. He's got to be better than Berryhill and co. Berryhill's fumbled 2 times at critical moments. Yeah. And just can't have it. You just can't have it.
'Cause I believe, Brian, sorry, I believe at the time of that happening, it was 13-6, if I remember, and it
Uh-huh.
would have been it would have been a tie football game. So like,
And Mr. Momentum would have gone over to the Riders
yes,
sidelines. Yeah.
yes. So like, being fine doesn't, I think, keep you the job when you fumbled twice this season already and you're coming back from injury. For me, I want to see somebody else, and hopefully that we can find somebody that's a legitimate starter.
I'll make a reference here for Brian, and he'll appreciate this. Our return game reminds me of when we had in Seattle Laviska Shenault and D. Williams. Do you remember that, Brian? And nobody could do anything, and we just kept giving the ball back.
Yeah.
Same thing right now with the Lions. It's like we just need, to Cole's point, get the ball, get us a 20-yard return, because if we're catching that on our 25, that gets us out to the 45, and it really allows us to play the field position game where we're not asking Mayer to like bomb it to the 5 or the 10 to try and flip the field for us because we're on our own 25.
Lions are dead last in the Canadian Football League in starting field position.
What is it? Do you know?
I don't have it in front of me, but I do
Okay.
recall seeing that when I was putting together the stats this week. It's generally by about between 5 to 10 yards difference between the next team up, but I mean, dead last is dead last, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're giving up field position on these returns, so they got to figure out a way to fix that. All right. I do want to mention, you mentioned roster spots and how they're going to get Lawrence Woods the third into the game. They've got a couple other guys that might be trying to get roster spots too, and it was a great surprise today to see Christophe Beaulieu practicing full for the first time since coming back from his injury. Gary Peters practiced full today. Maybe we're going to see him at some point. And Jonah Tavai coming off the 6th game, practicing full today. Those were 3 nice surprises when they put out the injury list today. Jonah Tavai is obviously one of our best run stoppers. Thought he was going to be out a lot longer. Gary Peters, I would say maybe comes in for Colden if they're going to get him into the lineup. Stanley Thomas Oliver has earned his position. He's not going anywhere. And Christophe Beaulieu. What do you do with Jackson Finley? Got to find a spot for him somewhere. Well, Deontay Williams is playing there.
Williams has been playing. Well, that's the thing. This is where you juggle it. Like, do you put him down to like Finley down to nickel and
half.
Put Finley at half or Williams at half?
I'd put Williams at half. And
then who are you taking out of half? Is it Kent or is it Lee?
Kent.
That's probably what I would do as well. And that's what I think. Beaulieu going back to safety and Finley coming down into your box, it makes it that much harder. Like, you think of like a box with him, McKenna, and Darnell in there. Like, where are you going with the ball in the run game, or even on like anything we're gonna swing? Like, you're not doing anything, because the one game we saw Finley play nickel was, one of the main games was that Edmonton game in Kelowna, and he completely eliminated Rankin.
He had a pick too.
Yeah. Like, that's where I look at, like, if you want to get the best on the field, that's what you might have to do.
I just think he's much more active around the box as well. You put him at nickel and he's in your front 7. You allow him to kind of just be that rover in the front. And then, I think we probably, like, it's going to be, tearing your ACL isn't going to be, I feel like, a seamless transition. So putting him at in the safety, kind of, maybe limit his responsibilities. I don't know if you want to say limit his responsibilities, but you can kind of, hey, focus on kind of stopping the pass, keeping the lid on this defense. You don't have to worry about your front with, guys like Sankey, McKenna, and Finley in front of you. And then, I think not to dump on Kent too much, because I think he's been solid, but whenever there's a play to be made, he never makes it. And I think that's like it's like when our defense is last in the CFL in turnovers, like, we need some of those changing plays, especially like last week or whatever it was a couple weekends ago. The 5'6" Calgary receiver like out jumps him and he's in perfect position. So I think TJ Lee has earned his spot. He's been making plays. He's stepped up, and we know how much his voice means to the locker room. So for me, I would kind of move the chess pieces around like that. But we will see. It was definitely an interesting one. I don't know if I told you guys, but new wrinkle: the Lions scratched players or their injured reserve and practice roster were actually up in the press box, and was quite an interesting one, because JC and I kind of joked about, like, JC's writing his articles for the games, and he's being very critical of their teammates, and he's got Brandon Yates was sitting behind us, Christophe Beaulieu and stuff. Christophe Beaulieu was looking obviously as jumping around the press box, looking very good. He was very active. He was very animated, celebrating in the press box. But I would imagine this is going to be a nice added addition, hopefully, for the stretch run for the secondary.
We'll see if we see them this week. I mean, just because they're practicing in full, could be a little training camp for them just to kind of get their feet wet a little bit. I think if anybody is going to probably start, it would probably be Gary Peters.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for him, and he's been waiting to start. He thought he was ready, then he pulled a hamstring apparently. So we'll see if he can contribute. But I think that's probably the biggest area of need on the defense right now. I think Colden's been better in recent games, but you do want to see what Gary Peters can bring if he comes back into the lineup, especially coming down the stretch when every game is going to be important. Heading into these next 3 games. Let's get into the power rankings now. I know Bryce has to run soon. We had some discussion on this. I know Van East Eric was saying that Saskatchewan should be ahead of BC based on their record. That's not how we do our power rankings. It's what have you done for us lately? BC beat Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan's has some injuries right now. BC is on the rise. Saskatchewan is dropping, and that's reflected in our rankings. Calgary did move up with the bye, but Winnipeg just it's not doing it for me, man. They had that game in Edmonton, and they scored no points in the second half.
Yep.
3 points in the second half. You're got a 16-0 lead, and then you don't only score 3 points the rest of the way. They've got some issues in Winnipeg. I just don't feel like they would deserve to be ranked ahead of Calgary. Now, we'll see what happens coming out of the bye for Calgary. I haven't heard what's going on with VA. I saw some Instagram stuff with him, and he was doing a lot of stuff with his kids, and he looked like he was healthy. I haven't heard about Dedrick Mills, so we'll see what they come out of the bye week like health-wise. But Toronto, I think we moved up. They found a running game, and they found themselves a bit of a Xander Horvath. They got a bit of a power back there now that had a really good game against Hamilton. So that team gets a little more dangerous with Chad Kelly at quarterback and a running game. So they're going to be a piece of business to deal with, and hopefully they can go into Saskatchewan this weekend and replicate what they did last weekend and get a win against the Riders for us. But those are our power rankings. Not much changes at the top. All the shuffling happened in the middle, and I'll tell you, this better not change next week. Because if Ottawa beats BC,
oh god,
we might have to move BC all the way down again. But we have faith. The boys are going to get it done. These games just scare the shit out of me, though. I just, as a fan, you're just like, please don't let this be the one, because it's going to happen. Somebody's going to lose to Ottawa this year, and hopefully it's not going to be us. All right, let's get to our picks for the week. And Bryce and I have the same picks. I went 4-0 last week, so I'm above 500, boys. Here it come. Here comes the charge. Bryce is still far and away the leader, 31-15. Cole 27-19. I'm creeping up on him a little bit, but I won't make up any ground on Bryce this week. Cole is going with the Riders. Bryce and I are going with the Argos. So Cole is either going to fall back a game or he's going to make up a game.
Yeah,
I got to give Cole that option now.
I joked with Bryce last week that he needs to give me at least one here where I'm going to have to take a chance here. So I saw that he put his picks in first. I saw he took Toronto. I obviously on a weekly occasion now kind of look where I can kind of gain some ground, and I'm gonna take my shot here with Saskatchewan. I know obviously the Argos are feeling good after last week, but and I know
MLS back to the 6th game.
Yeah, and I know people are down on the Riders, but I think they'll be able to find a way to at least keep this competitive. They might honestly lose, but I think at least keeping it competitive, keeping this a close game gives me a hope going into the fourth quarter that something like the Winnipeg game last week, where maybe Toronto's controlling the game all game and Saskatchewan's able to steal one late.
Well, I'll say this. I basically have to, every time you do these now, Brian, you might as well just pencil BC in for me, because I'm not allowed to pick anything else, because ever since I started picking them, they haven't figured out how to lose anymore. So we'll keep it that way. I'm knocking on the wood table here to make sure that stays away. But seems to be good mojo for them right now.
Can I just say that I did not curse them last week as well?
You didn't. That's true. You didn't. Excellent.
So I feel okay taking them this week. All right. There's one more thing I want to get to, and I got my email today from the Lions saying I was selected to have a tailgate spot, and I thought I would share this with everybody. It's a pretty cool setup, and it's only going to cost you $35 to park, which if you park downtown lately, you know that's a screaming bargain. But you get 2 spots for your $35. So one spot will be for your car, the other spot will be for your tailgate, and ICBC, for some reason, I don't know why it's ICBC is involved, but they're allowing people to park there overnight as well. So if you have a few pops, you want to take a cab home, you can come back, get your car in the morning. It's got to be gone by 10 a.m. But pretty cool. So the whole setup is going to be at the Plaza of Nations. They're moving the regular Terry Fox Plaza backyard party over there. So there won't be anything going on that side of the stadium this week. Everything's going to be down by the Plaza of Nations. So there'll be a live band. There'll be a beer garden there next to the tailgate area. No open alcohol allowed, but that basically means put it in a solo cup, folks. Don't be walking around with a beer can or you're probably going to get a fine. But yeah, pretty cool setup. It's one game only. This is kind of a pilot project that they're doing, and they're hoping to make it permanent next year, and priority given to season ticket holders, as it should be. That's the way they do it in Calgary, Regina, all the places where they have tailgating. So next year you can probably look forward to buying a tailgate pass if this is a successful pilot and the city is on board. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that with some folks. That's going to be the setup. Pretty cool. Get to some comments here. If I can get my mouse over to my other monitor. Bob Medill says this game scares me too. Yeah, we're in the same boat. If VA doesn't start, that Calgary pick looks suspect. Well, you got 2 teams with no quarterback in that in that spot. Calgary's still got a pretty good defense. Hamilton's got a good defense. It could be a battle of turnovers there. We'll see what happens. That's the thing about making your picks on a Tuesday. We don't get the injury reports early enough to make informed decisions, so you kind of got to go with your gut. Sask is going to lose 3 in a row, possibly. It's if they're going to do it, it's going to be this game. They got Winnipeg. Is it Winnipeg back to back the next after this Labor Day? Is that the Labor Day deal? Starts next week.
I think so.
Tuesday says $35 for parking. That's a steal. My wife points out that if you are not a season ticket holder, it's $45. So, being a season ticket holder has benefits. Well then, Brian, thanks for being selected with your vehicle. I kind of begged for it last week from Carolyn Cody. But hey, I'm not above begging. Costco lot was $40 when I walked past it last Sunday night. Well, the lot we usually parked in, we paid $52 last week. So yeah, it's not cheap to park downtown. All right,
Bryce. Sorry, Brian. I wanted to ask Bryce something, or kind of ask the chat, I guess. I know Bryce put it out there in terms of we posted a little kind of clip of Nathan's presser, and then I edited a little video, and I know Bryce talked about maybe doing some sort of like chalk talk or kind of like film room feature on the show. And I know obviously we end up being able to fill an hour and a half very easily, but for any Lions fans that are out there, I know we got a pretty good reaction on social media that people wanted to see some more of that. So if anybody is interested, let Bryce and I know. I think maybe we could hopefully work something out in terms of maybe doing some sort of other feature or quick video on the BC Lions Den YouTube channel, or maybe work it into our shows. But like I said, it's kind of tough when we have guests, we're talking about the game, our keys, all that stuff. So let us know how you guys would like to see that and consume that, because I think we need more of it out there in the CFL universe.
I did have a meeting with the Lions yesterday, and one of the topics we discussed was getting access to game video. So perhaps that's something we could maybe even do on the post game show a little bit more of. Just break down some of the plays that happened, and we don't need to mark everything up, but we can stop and start the video and kind of give you guys some means to do that. One more thing about the tailgate: it starts at 2:00, and you can walk in if you don't have a parking spot, or you can walk right into the area, experience tailgating for yourself. Head over to the beer garden, live bands, everything. It should be a good time, but 2:00 is when all that gets started, and it ends an hour after the game too, so you can come out after the game and tailgate for a little bit after the game as well.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I'm laughing at the last comment that just came into the chat. Way to go, Van East, Eric. I like it a lot.
I know, Bryce. I know you feel the same way, because I was listening to the game at the game. I had it on my computer. It's like very frustrating that Glenn Sear continues to lean in we got this two-headed monster in the backfield, and it's like, well, we got one, and I know we don't want to hurt feelings with James Butler and him being a starter, but there really hasn't been kind of a two-headed monster. It's really been a one-headed monster.
To be fair, I think there could be a two-headed monster if each of them were used properly. You watched that last Arrow Up episode, that game against Calgary and Kelowna. Butler was great in that game. Horvath is clearly the better back at this point.
I know it's just tough to get both of them involved, Brian. With it being the Canadian game, Horvath had, I believe, a couple touchdowns up there when JB had a good game, but I believe his touches would have been 5 or 6, right? So I get that sentiment. I love it, but it's just it's so hard to get both of them going.
But even lately, Butler's been taking 2-yard losses, and Horvath is getting 5 yards.
I think part of the reason, I'll be honest, I think part of the reason too, it's harder to do the two-back system in Canadian football, because when I think of a true two-headed monster, I go back and Cole, I don't know how much you got to see this, but I remember growing up with this, was Robert Drummond and Sean Millington, right? With Damon Allen and that offense that they ran, it was truly a two-headed monster. But the thing with that is teams played a lot of under center, so you had two backs in the backfield. You had an eye back look. You weren't in shotgun so much. And Cole, you know this as well as I do. Shotgun changes how many guys you can get on the field in certain positions. And that's where I think, if we wanted to run a true two-headed system, then you would put Xander kind of in the Sean Millington role, and you'd put Butler in the Drummond role, because that's what they kind of did back in 2000 and 2001 and 1999. But you were running I systems then, right? You were running a two-back system with this quarterback under center. When you're not doing that as much, it's a lot harder to do it and try and get them on the field. And so now, to your point, Cole, you're right. You don't have the touches in that way.
Yeah. Way to go, Van East, Eric. We tried.
Yeah. Freaking just.
We tried.
It wouldn't be a BC Lions Den podcast if we didn't.
Hey, there's one easy way to stop this. Just listen to us. There's one easy way to stop it, folks. Okay, I think we're good. Unless you guys got something else to add before we get out of here.
Just imagine how obnoxious we would be if we had Xander on the show one time.
Oh,
it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah,
it would have been this week, but Darnell asked to make up for his no-show. So, and we're glad he did, because it was a good interview. We enjoyed having him on. I think that's
game, Brian.
Yes, we will have a post-game show. Thanks to all of you for joining us tonight. A quick reminder to head over to that YouTube channel and smash that subscribe button. I hope we hit 200. I haven't checked since the show started, but we were 3 away, so we gained 1. Come on, guys, let's get her going. Be part of the BC Lions Den podcast family on YouTube and hit that sub button. We will have our full post-game show this Sunday following the game, so we hope you can join us for that. Our thanks again to Darnell Sankey for dropping by tonight, as well as Matt Baker and the BC Lions for helping us set that up. Thanks for tuning in, folks. I'm Brian Walrish, and on behalf of Cole McGarvey and Bryce Coots, thank you all, as always, for watching, and as always, roar, you Lions, roar.
Night, folks.
See ya.